Hey everybody, welcome to Revitalise Meets, where I get the opportunity to meet key influencers, business entrepreneurs from across the UK business community. And today I've got the great pleasure, no, the privilege, to be with a lady who's been in business now for just over 1 year, but has got a wealth of experience in dealing and supporting with business entrepreneurs across the UK and globally. Can you please welcome with me today the one and only Mary Ann Smith of We Achieve Associates Limited. Mary Ann, how are you today?
Well, what can I say, Lee, after an introduction like that? Even if I'd had an awful morning, it's just got a whole lot better.
Oh, bless you. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Well, it's great to catch up with you, and thank you so much for coming along to Revitalise Meets today. And a real opportunity for everybody who's watching and listening and myself to learn more about your business journey. And saying that, would you mind sharing that with everybody who's watching and listening today, a little bit about your business journey and the story so far?
Oh, wow, Lee, my business journey. Well, I turned 50 this year, Lee. So when I think about doing the business journey, it feels like a long time now. Do you know, I think when I was 7 years old, I always remember getting into a whole load of trouble because I was selling jam sandwiches to my friends. And I took the jam and the bread out my mum's cupboard and she wasn't happy. In the 70s, nobody used the word entrepreneur, but that was just scattered across my life. And for the first 20 odd years, I had really successful jobs, had quite cool titles, did quite cool things. And on the side, it was always a business hustle, all the time. And I always say that the majority of my early businesses, none of them ever failed. I just gave up in them. And that was the story that followed me for a long time until things around me shifted. The people I was kind of hanging about with changed, and I was able to make different steps in a new direction. And that allowed me to set up my first company. And now we have 4 companies. So it's been quite a transition from having been in a place with really good roles and achieving academically, but never being satisfied at all. I always describe it as never having the cherry on my Bakewell tart. That's how it felt. And now being able to be a company director and a director in the Chamber of Commerce as well. It's kind of funny, I look back at old photographs and think, I'm not even sure I really know the woman that I can see in front of me in those pictures. So I'm going to have a blast for this decade, I think. It's they say, what is it, wisdom is wasted on the youth, or no, wasted on the old. Well, it's not going to be wasted here. That's my intention anyway.
Not at all. And you've done a lot with many people across the board in regard to helping with their business, their successes, but also making them believe in themselves well and truly. But I really want to tap into more of the achievements that you succeeded in over the last few years. And one of the ones you talk about quite a lot about is your family and your daughters and your husband, and how that's been a real big part of your success over the last few years with We Achieve. Would you mind expanding a bit more on that one for us, please, Mary Ann?
Yeah, no problem at all. I think when people ask me what is my biggest achievement, there's lots of public achievements. Do you know, you can be nominated for this, that, and next thing and be published in whatever. But it's now when I have, my children are 17, about to turn 18, 21 and 25. And especially when I see my eldest daughter, who's 21, and seeing these women flourish in the most incredible way, that when I look back to being 21, I was as timid as a mouse and so frightened. And there I've got my eldest daughter just starting her own company, having a YouTube channel, putting herself out there, facing all the challenges. And that is the most incredible experience. And the best bit, Lee, is that she wants to spend time with me. So that's not a outcome. She didn't always want to do that. But I think that's just a natural thing about children. But to be able to spend really lovely time with them now, sharing, shared interests, understanding what business is about and the joys that can bring, but also being able to give her a container that gives lots of support, because we all know how challenging business can be. Even when you're surrounded by lots of good people, you can have days when it feels incredibly lonely. And I think that I'm a really lucky girl, really. I'm in business with my husband, who is just my right-hand man. And we are lucky to have really nice offices. And when during the day at lunchtime, we might sit and have a bit of lunch together, but we might have a dance. And that is about just bringing life into your business. I think I spent so long in my life having a vision for something, creating a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that I was working towards, and not actually living it every day. I don't need to have tons of money to have really quality time with my family. I can have that every single day if I choose that to happen. And I've really learned over that time that looking after yourself is the most important thing, because anything you do, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your business, is a direct reflection of the person that you are. So yeah, I have my up days, I have my down days, but I've got a ton of support around me from the people that love me the most. So very fortunate.
It's a great achievement to have with the family that's around you and the support levels that you have within that, the sort of the structure of the family, and especially the way you're all involved in that business, which is brilliant. And it was something you touched on there about being 21 again. And I would like to come to just change it around slightly today's talk is look at your golden tip of advice. So if you could cast your mind back to when you were 21, or cast your mind back a year or so ago when you started your business, would you give yourself, as you're given to your daughters and your husband now as well, but what advice would you give to yourself back then that to change or to adapt to anything recently? What would be the golden tip of advice?
Number one is you can't do it your own. You cannot do this on your own. I look back to my early businesses, and the challenge was that I was trying to do it on my own all the time, just because I always say I was born smart, thankfully, and that helped me to push forward and have a successful career. But I always thought that I could just learn how to do it myself. And the reality was I had real challenges about investing in myself and believing that I could actually do it. And it wasn't till I got support, got myself a coach, surrounded myself with people who were of similar mindset and intention to me, that made all the difference. And there's never too early a point to do that. And I'm just trying to think, actually, because recently that came up with my daughter, because she's at the start of her business adventure. And I looked at her one day and she looked pretty grey. You know, that kind of bad colour in your skin. And she was absolutely exhausted. And she says, do you know, I'm so tired, and I'm now appreciating what you've went through and what I've watched as I've been growing up. She says, but Mum, I keep listening to all this stuff that says you have to do whatever it takes. And I said to her, what nonsense have you been listening to? Do you know, you're listening to the wrong podcast. Because for me, that is a massive business myth. There's a whole load of them that I have, Lee, but that is one of them. Do what it takes, never stop. Do you know, how many times do we hear that? You have to do that to be successful. No, you don't. Do you know, if you do that, the one thing that is key to all of this is your own well-being. Your own mental health, your own physical energy levels will be low, and you will never be performing in a way that allows your business to flourish in the best way possible. It's so important to build into your business and to build it actually around the future and the lifestyle you want to live. Not just want to create, but you want to live now. And build your business from that place, and you'll have consistency, sustainability, longevity. If you don't, you'll have burnout, exhaustion, and maybe failure. So that, when I look back, I had tons of that, tons of it. And because I was so tired all the time, my resilience would be low. When it came to opportunities, I would either not see them, or when they landed on my table, I would be so scared of them, I wouldn't grasp it. And I remember there was once I had a beauty business, And I was working, now this is mad when I say it out loud now. I had 3 children. One of them was under 1. I also was too scared to leave my job. So I worked like 27 hours in a professional job on top of it, and ran a beauty salon with 1 member of staff in the salon and 12 party girls running pamper parties. Do you know, I really don't wear lycra Wonder Woman outfits. I really don't. Too tight. But I thought that I could manage that. I thought that all you had to do was be resilient, keep turning up, keep going. And I remember spray tanning had just not long come into...
I don't know what they are. I've never used
well,
any.
no. Well, at that time, I got the chance to buy a spray tanning machine. Now, it was maybe, now my memory says it was about 800 or so pounds. But at that time, that felt like a lot of money, a lot of money. And I said no to it. And I justified my position, saying that people preferred to have lotion put on in the experience, blah, blah, blah. 18 months later, a girl who had a salon a few doors up had to go to a bigger premises because the demand for spray tanning had went right through the roof. And I shut the door on my business. And as I shut the door, I threw out £1,000 worth of £1,000 worth of product that I had bought, but in £50 here, £20 there. I didn't have the courage to believe in myself that I could, and because I was so worn out, that impacted that decision then as well. Why would I think I could if I'm so knackered all the time? I couldn't take on anymore, learning anymore, having to tile premises to accommodate it. I just didn't have it in me. And she went on and thrived, and I didn't. So really taking time to stop. If you feel that you're exhausted, listen to your body. I always say 25% of your intelligence is in your head. I always stand, Lee, all the time.
No, you tell me that as well. I love that, yeah.
The joy of my electric desk, but I stand because it allows me to connect with my whole self. Because 75% of my intelligence is here, and yet we do not listen to it. We rationalise, make things logical, and this head of mine does not know better. You know, that feeling you get when you think, oh, my guts told me something? That's not just your guts, that's 75% of all your intelligence is screaming at you. But this wee baby's quite loud and can drown it out. So definitely connecting in the self, stop, listen to that, learn, understand what's going on, and then come up with a plan to move forward. But don't keep going. Doesn't work.
I think it's great you're saying that, because so many of us are on that railroad track and we're firing fast and furious ahead, and we want to gain it. We're picking momentum and we're really going for it. What a lot of people do forget about, and you're right what you say, Mary-Ann, is that they forget about reflecting upon themselves, of where they are, where they're going, how they're going to achieve it. They put themselves under unnecessary pressure to achieve these set goals and achievements or objectives that they want to hit, but not consistent goals, not consistent achievements that you want to get to. And they do forget to listen to the number one person. And a big part you put on there as well is believe in yourself. Let's have that belief. And when we all said that at 21, you get an idea and you go, do you know what? No, I don't want to do that. I'm not ready to take that lunge just yet. But it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
Or you take both the reins and go, do you know what? I'm going to run with this now. I'm at that age. Yeah, I believe in it. But you've got to believe in you. You've got to believe in everything you've got and put everything behind it. Believe in yourself is a great part of it. But remember to self-reflect of where you are and where you've been, because time can just go like that before you know it in business.
Definitely, in a blink of an eye. I mean, look at what we've experienced this last 10 months.
Oh, 100%.
Can you believe that this has been going on this long? I mean, it's incredible. I can remember doing the very first Chamber of Commerce network event when it was just like the first Monday after the lockdown. And here we are. I don't know how many we've done now, but here we are all these months later. It's incredible. So time is it's not infinite. You know, it's a finite resource, and I have to give credit where credit. So this is not my story. This is my husband's.
Okay.
Because he always says I steal his stuff.
You do, you do.
Well, but you know, if you were to live until you were 80, you have something. I think it's 7 in every single hour of your life equated to one piece of gold that you had to spend. You would have 700,800 pieces of gold to spend.
Wow.
Amazing. Now, turning 50, I worked out, I can't remember, I think it was 400 and odd thousand I've spent. So if I only lived to 80, I've only got 200 and odd thousand bits of gold left. What kind of return on investment do I need to get to be at the end of my day and go, that was amazing. True. That was amazing. And I'll say this to people this morning. I was on doing my network event, and I speak to people about using their gold wisely. And even when you're in networks, turning up with intention, having prepared going into it, thinking about what is it that I want to give that would be of value, do you know, and what is it I'm needing help with today, allows people to know how to help you. Do you know, that you can think, well, I've spent an hour on that network, and that was a piece of my gold I will not get back. What was the return on investment I got for that? And the moment you start to think like that, you start to be really careful about where you put your gold. Really careful about it. But yeah, 200 and odd thousand bits, Lee. I'm wanting at least a 50% return on that investment. I really am.
But it's such a good, I mean, when you talk about that with your network as well, and you know what I'm involved in, yourself as well, but in regards to networking, getting to meet people and everything else, so many people run into there not preparing any of that when they run into a virtual room, or even in the good old fashioned days of meeting people face to face. And that's a great part to put on it. What investment are you putting into your day's activities? What return do you want to get back from your day's piece of gold? I love that piece of gold. You've got one piece of gold to use today. How are you going to use that gold once you return back from it at the same time? That's Absolutely. A great one. And touching on that as well, we touched briefly about what's gone on over the last few months. And I would like for you to share how have you diversified, and ask many business owners this, how you diversified your business, you know, with your husband and your daughter and the family. What's been the biggest changes you've put in place over the last 10 months plus to make that difference and to make it count?
Okay. I think that one of the big benefits, opportunities that came because of COVID, listen, we talk about it as this, the C word, big crisis, the COVID. But actually, how many crises have we faced in the last 100 years? The only thing we can guarantee is that there'll be another one, whatever it is. And you have to just be able to accept that as being in business and in life. That's just part of it. But we do get on that fast virgin train that we live on, and it allowed us all to stop. It allowed us to appreciate just how hard we were working, or how busy we were doing the wrong stuff. It allowed us to take that time to evaluate and start to use our gold way more wisely. And where we were saying before, we don't have time, we had tons of time, we really did. And we got rid of doing a lot of stuff, we leveraged out a lot of our activity, that we now really only focus on our what we call our quality outputs every single day, which makes your to-do list way shorter and allowed us to increase our capacity to do even more than we were doing and be able to put our unique talents out into the world. So for the coaching company, because I'd been coaching in our other companies as well, and they worked on an international level, we lived on Zoom anyway when it came along. It wasn't new to us. Yeah. But what COVID did was allow others who were, before they were just saying, no, I need to see you in person. They were now open to the idea that you could possibly have a deep relationship with someone you have never met and over a screen. Do you know, when somebody, I know you'll be the same, when somebody comes onto Zoom, my whole body reacts to how they are. Once this bit's switched on, it doesn't switch off.
Yeah.
And the relationships that I've been able to have right across the world coaching have been incredible. Do you know, and the connections you can make. I speak to people all day and was able to make connections from one part of the States to Australia just because I thought they would get on. Do you know? And what an amazing gift to be able to put out there. So the businesses have thrived because we've got more time. I've been able to reach out and support way more people than I would have done normally. I'm no longer having to take trips out to hotels to meet people. And it's just become a norm to do this over a screen. And now if you saw the tech that is around this desk to allow people to have the best experience now when I do it, it really does help. So this business will grow again into next year, using strategies, doing much more about group coaching. My first launch has just been done, and that sold out in 5 days. So I was really pleased at that. But there's more to come next year, and doing that with Paul as well, because he's the most incredible coach. And when I started WeAchieve, that was because I wanted to do what I was really passionate about, because I've been a coach for about 25 years in lots of different guises. And we discovered that we just missed working together. I mean, really working on combined projects, not just leading different businesses. And so there's going to be much more of that next year. And we've also been able to support our daughter to launch our own company as an estate agent. So Casa Estate Agents has just launched, and we've got energies going into that. And one of the big things is that we've got staff, and we've been able to keep them all in jobs.
Yeah.
And over this whole 10 months, they've kept in jobs, kept their salaries. And that has been the most important thing to us. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter who comes in, it is like a very tight family unit. And so I'm really proud of that. If nothing else existed, that would be enough.
Brilliant. Congratulations. And it's great, it's refreshing to hear, you know, many people have talked about what they're doing to adapt and overcome, which you have done in bucketfuls. And especially that real important time word. People have found so much more time to be more proactive in a positive point of view. Is overwhelming, but also as well, I think you're right in what you say. It's opened up the geographies across the globe. You know, you can make a phone call to someone in the States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. It has opened up the geography gates well and truly for people to connect on a wider reach and to support one another even further as well. But I think really well done in regard to time, looking at the time available, supporting each other further, and having more of a building blocks of a stronger foundation that you can build upon it for the next year coming up. Thanks for sharing that, Marianne.
No bother. I mean, I remember yesterday, actually, the big thing, everybody comes in here is with time. Don't have time for stuff. And even just yesterday, I spoke to a young businesswoman, and who was the first thing, I don't have any time. And actually, within half an hour, she actually realised she had 2.5 days to work in her business. And it's like that thing I said earlier, stop. And it's like, it's okay to reflect, but reflection is a bit like going out into the street and talking to the lamppost of the tree. You'll get value out of it if you do that every night, but it doesn't talk back.
No.
Sometimes you do need to somebody who will talk back to you. And yeah, 2.5 days. And I'll say to people, it's so easy sometimes to get 10 hours back out of the week. You would be surprised at how easy that is. So
there's so many people, though, I think you're right. It's like everybody says, you heard them, I've had many conversations, I'm too busy, I'm really busy, got loads going on. Okay. Have you asked the question what you've got going on? Have you got feedback from somebody who's close call to you? And we talk about the circle of connections you have around the surrounding yourself with the right people to give you the right lift that you need to move you onto the right place. And I think when you ask those individuals who are around you and they identify the timings of things that you're using and going, well, you could do different on that and different on this, it then starts loosening up the time. Go, oh, wow, okay, then we have got more time to use. and what we use with it is really important. But again, I think feedback, like you've touched on with that there as well, Marianne, is priceless on that one. So with everything we talked about with the golden tips of advice, if you cast your mind back and how you have diversified your business over the last few months, and especially the achievements, really congratulations with the family taking to the next level, supporting each other and finding that extra time to develop more in the sort of turn of the year. What's next for you, the business, and what does 2021 have on the cards for you? What's on the next door of opportunity?
Well, the best bit of it is I don't know, and that's the exciting bit. So there's always, I think, staying in a place where you're just kind of open to an emerging future. I have no idea. I didn't know this time last year I was going to be having this business operating the way it was. I didn't know we're going to have a daughter launching an estate agency. I knew none of that. So that's part of the excitement. I don't like to have too much planned because you don't know what's going to come in out of left field. But I think for Paul and I, what was important for us, I spent my whole work life with people saying, oh, I can't wait till my holiday. Can't wait till my holiday. I was one of them. I never want to have a holiday. I never do. Instead, what I want is to be able to know what gold I've got and make decisions about how I use it wisely. And Paul and I've always wanted to be a bit of nomads, a bit nomadic. And that's why we've built our businesses the way they are. And it was funny because I put that into the pot of gold at the end of my rainbow. And I reflected and thought, my goodness, it's maybe 3 years since I put it in there. And I thought, I wonder if anything's changed to help me get towards being able to work from anywhere in the world. And then it was that day, and it wasn't that long ago, that I realised that we'd already reached that. That if I really wanted to, our businesses were in a place where we could go and live somewhere for a few months and operate from there and still have people here working. And so I think if 2021 manages to do anything, that would be lovely. It would be really lovely. And being able to see the other businesses have a bit of growth. I think we've underpinning all of our companies is a lot of social value. That's why we got into business in the first place. So seeing Kingsmith Property do more in its 1,000 homes for 1,000 families, and hopefully 2021 will see us bring our first 100 homes back into the residential market, which is a real achievement for a wee family. And we also have Business Purpose 1000, and that's where we help 1,000 people, 1,000 businesses to be more purpose driven. Because if you are really driving your business forward from a place of purpose, you will have more chance of having resilience and passion sustained and success. And people are attracted to folk who want to give back. Happiness comes from contribution. That's what happiness is all about. And I think the one consistent thing people say ultimately is that they just want to be happy. So if we can help people come from a place that they are able to contribute, then we have a chance of having more people happy. And if more people are happy, the impact then is massive. And we both say if we had somebody just show us a little bit of interest when we were back in our early 20s, what a difference to our lives that would have made. So that comes full circle back to why seeing my children the way they are now makes us the biggest reward ever.
And I think what you, again, touching on that, a good cause is contagious. You have a good cause, it can be contagious. It can just spark so much good around everybody if you can find that good cause. And everyone's got a good cause inside them. And you've got great successes come to you, Paul, and all the family in 2021. I can see it, and I know for a fact, I believe it. It's definitely going to happen, Marianne, without a shadow of doubt. Well, out of doubt on that one.
Thank you.
With everything you've shared today, with everybody who's watched and listened to us today, and thank you for listening and watching today as well. How can people make contact with you? They've heard a lot of the talk that we've had today, but they're interested in finding out a bit more. How can they make contact with Marianne after today?
Well, the first protocol would be to pop onto my LinkedIn and say hello. There is nothing better than having people reach out just to say, I'd love to have a chat with you. It's a funny old world on there. I reach out all the time just out of sheer curiosity of people. And I always say to folk that I'm not in sales, I'm in service. And I don't even offer my services to people unless I absolutely know that we are the right fit. And they have to ask me about my services once we know that. And never do it. And it allows us to have great conversation. Yeah. So that's the best place to actually read people's feedback about me, see what's going on and get a sense of who I am. The exciting part is that the new website is coming out hopefully in January. There's been a lot of work going into that. And I can't wait to see it in its final version. But yeah, reach out LinkedIn, say hi. I'm on Facebook as well. I mean, who isn't, Lee? Who isn't?
We all are. We all are.
Absolutely. Or drop me an email, because marianne@weachieveassociates.com, and it'd be great to hear from you.
Absolutely superb. And I would highly recommend anybody who's watching and listening today to find out more about what Marianne has been doing in making people succeed in their We Achieve Associates Limited, to reach out to Marianne, organize that virtual coffee catch up, have a chat to find out about each other a lot better, delve deeper into the chapters of the conversation and the books that everybody's got, and especially with Marianne and the contacts that's available, and finding out what the next stages are for We Achieve well and truly. So thank you very much, Marianne. Really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
It's a real pleasure to spend time with you. It really is. You've got the most amazing energy.
Oh,
so it's been a true pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thanks again, Marianne. And say thank you to Paul and all the family as well. But thank you. Thank you to everybody who's been watching and listening to us today. Keep your eyes open and your ears pricked up for the next Revitalise Meets, where I get the opportunity to meet those key influencers, those business entrepreneurs that make the difference from across the UK business community. As always, goodbye from me and Marianne. Stay healthy, stay safe, and remember, keep connecting, everybody. We'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye,
everyone.